Daniel Jones tore his ACL against the Las Vegas Raiders. Just when you thought the New York Giants season couldn't get any worse, it gets worse. This is just like a giant nightmare for Brian Dable and this whole entire New York Giants organization. And when they paid Daniel Jones that 4-year extension for $160 million, I was never in agreement with it. And I was going back and forth with New York Giants fans all off season about it. And I never thought that this move was going to work out in their favor. You see, I'm so tired of the argument of he's good enough if you give him a good team. Good enough doesn't win you championships. Why would you settle for good when you could have gone out there and gotten great? You see, that's the problem with a lot of people in life. Complacency is a really big thing that a lot of people struggle with. It's okay to be comfortable. The Giants were comfortable with Daniel Jones, but they could have gone out there and gotten better. There was nobody else in free agency who was going to give Daniel Jones this kind of contract. The New York Giants deserve to be in this situation for the stupid decision to pay Daniel Jones, and they paid him before Saquon. And although people say you're not supposed to pay a running back, I would have paid Saquon way before I would have ever thought about paying Daniel Jones. You see, Daniel Jones is just like how Geno Smith is right now. They were good stories in 2022. They were able to lead their teams to the playoffs after being counted out. Nobody really thought they could be all that great. They were a cool story. But cool stories aren't meant to be read every single day. Some stories you read once and you move on to the next book. This reminds me a lot of the situation that the Jacksonville Jaguars were in when they gave Blake Bortles that extension after he led them to the AFC Championship game. Blake Bortles was never good enough to be a franchise quarterback for Jacksonville. He just was able to lead Jacksonville to the AFC Championship that year because they had a great defense, and he was good enough to take care of the football and did what he needed to do for Jacksonville's offense to be serviceable. You see, that's the thing with Daniel Jones. Like, he's a serviceable quarterback. But if we were to rank him in tiers of elite quarterbacks, good quarterbacks, and bad quarterbacks, he will fall in the bad quarterback category. And yeah, the situation that he was in this year wasn't ideal. The offensive line was awful, just as bad as what it was last year. The receivers still suck. But Giants fans were gassing up, trading for an injury-prone tight end and Darren Waller. Where is he at right now? Along with Daniel Jones in a damn hospital bed. The offensive line is still terrible. After Giants fans made it seem like the offensive line could have been better, the defense is still okay. The Giants were no better of a team this season than what they were last year. They had the benefit playing against weaker competition, and that's why they were able to win with Daniel Jones. I'm so tired of people making it seem like you can win with a game manager as long as you have the right situation. Yeah, that's if you have the right situation, but not every team is smart enough to build the team similar to how John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan have done with the 49ers when you can plug and play every single quarterback. I'm a Steelers fan, and I would tell you straight up that I don't think Kenny Pickett is it. Having an okay quarterback is not good enough to win you a Super Bowl in today's league, or to take a team that was, one of the worst teams in the NFL to a Super Bowl contender. You mean to tell me that Brian Dable and whoever is the GM of the New York Giants thought that Daniel Jones was good enough to ever lead this team to a Super Bowl? What? Meanwhile, Lamar Jackson was a restricted free agent, and all you had to do was give up a couple of first-round picks, paying what he wanted, and you could have had a drastic upgrade at quarterback. Daniel Jones isn't the kind of quarterback that can carry your team. He's not the kind of quarterback that can will you to wins like a Lamar Jackson or a Joe Burrow or a Patrick Mahomes. I mean, we make fun of Dak Prescott, but Dak Prescott and Kirk Cousins are quarterbacks that you can win with. You can't win or have a lot of success with a guy like Daniel Jones. He hasn't been good this year. Before he went down with that injury, he had 2 touchdowns and 6 interceptions on the season. The only 2 touchdowns those came from was when they barely managed to beat the Arizona Cardinals. Daniel Jones should have never gotten that extension by the New York Giants, and most of us knew when they gave Daniel Jones that deal, it was a horrible decision. And if you were one of the people who were a Daniel Jones believer, You look back now, you like, yeah, like that probably wasn't a smart move. Now, you do have to build a good team around them, which the Giants did a poor job of doing. But when you have a great quarterback, he can overcome limitations. Daniel Jones can't overcome having a bad receiving core. He can't overcome having a bad offensive line. The coaching isn't the problem. We still view Brian Daboll as one of the best offensive minds in the league. So what is the reasoning for the drop-off this season? Oh, maybe it's because the Giants are playing tougher competition and having Daniel Jones going up against some of the best teams in the NFL that have some of the best quarterbacks in the game aren't going to get it done. Even before he went down against the Las Vegas Raiders, he was getting outplayed by Aiden O'Connell. Like, Daniel Jones, him being out for the season, yes, nobody wants to see a player go down, no matter how we feel about how good or how bad they are. Injuries are always unfortunate. But Daniel Jones, let's not make it seem like a couple of weeks ago, Giants fans and many people weren't having a discussion who's the better quarterback, Daniel Jones or Tyrod Taylor. Anytime you're having a discussion about your backup being potentially better than your starter, that's a huge problem. The Giants should have went out there and traded for Joshua Dobbs. Same thing with the New York Jets. There's no way New York actually believed that this dude was good enough to bring this team to another Lombardi trophy. Like, there's a rumor that keeps going around that the Giants ownership wanted to re-sign Daniel Jones because he reminds them a lot of Eli Manning. Like, what? Don't you ever disrespect Eli Manning like that. Say what you want about Eli Manning. In big games in the postseason, Eli Manning elevated his game. Daniel Jones had a great playoff game against a terrible Minnesota Vikings defense. A Minnesota Vikings team that most people would consider to be the most overrated team in NFL history. They had an awful point differential. They came back from behind in multiple games. They had to come back to beat the Indianapolis Colts. That wasn't a great team. Sometimes you're not always what your record says you are. And then what happened the following week when the New York Giants played the Philadelphia Eagles? They got smashed. And Daniel Jones got outplayed by Jalen Hurts. And although the talent differential was a really big deciding factor in the way that game went, when you have an elite quarterback, there's not a single game that you don't have a chance to win. But when you got a Daniel Jones at the helm at quarterback, there's just certain games that you look at and you say, yeah, like, we might as well just go ahead and throw in the towel. We don't have a shot. I think when it comes to Daniel Jones' future with the New York Giants, he most likely is going to be back next season. All right. They don't really have the ability to move on from this contract unless they just want to take $69.3 million in dead cap, which I doubt they want to do. You're going to bring Daniel Jones back next season. You definitely have to draft a quarterback in the upcoming 2024 NFL draft. It doesn't have to be a first-round pick. You don't have to draft a quarterback in the first round, but you got to draft a quarterback that has some potential to be a potential starter in the NFL. Maybe a Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels for LSU, he's pretty nice. Hell, if J.J. McCarthy or Quinn Ewers is there in the second round, go ahead and take them. You just need a quarterback that has some potential. So therefore, if Daniel Jones has another awful season when you build this roster up, because the Giants are going to have to build this roster up. They're going to have to rebuild that offensive line. They're going to have to add a superstar wide receiver, not a Paris Campbell. And you're going to have to get a better defense for you to be able to win with Daniel Jones. And if you give Daniel Jones a better team and he still struggles, you go and you throw in Jaden Daniels, or you go and you start Quinn Ewers. The Giants are going to have another season of Daniel Jones underneath center because his contract, it doesn't allow you to get out of it until 2025. And even then, your out is you taking a dead cap hit of $22.21 million. So you're still stuck with Daniel Jones for the next 2 seasons, whether you want to like it or not. And you're going to have to find a way to win with that. He's a good athlete. I'll give him that. He's one of the best rushing quarterbacks in the NFL, but he's not a great thrower of the football. He throws a nice deep ball, but I don't think he really has a good understanding of reading defenses, and he's regressed. And this is coming from a guy who currently is their head coach, who is regarded as one of the best offensive minds in the NFL. So if you're regressing under Brian Daboll, what does that show about you as a player? The Giants are going to be stuck with Daniel Jones for the next 2 seasons. I don't think he's played his final snap with New York. I definitely think that he has a couple of years left due to the magnitude of his contract, but this just was an awful decision to extend a mid quarterback. Daniel Jones was okay last season. There were people trying to say he could have potentially become a top 10, top 12 quarterback. Like, no. You see, anytime a team has a quarterback that nobody really likes and he has one good season, people try to find ways to get excited about them. Nobody in the New York Giants fan base was happy when they drafted Daniel Jones over Dwayne Haskins. RIP Dwayne Haskins. Nobody wanted Daniel Jones. And now he had one good season and everybody was trying to hop on the bandwagon. Like, you need more than one good season to submit yourself as a serviceable starting quarterback in this league. If I was Joe Schoen and Brian Dable, I would have gave Daniel Jones another 1-year deal. I would have been like, if you feel like I'm disrespecting you, go in free agency and find another team that's willing to give you a long-term deal with the salary that you're asking for. I can't believe the New York Giants really caved in to Daniel Jones' contract demands. For what? The dude isn't good. He's like a bottom-tier quarterback. Daniel Jones is one of those quarterbacks that you start to be a bridge quarterback until you can find a potential upgrade. The Giants deserve to be in a situation that they're in. You know, it wasn't really smart on their behalf giving Daniel Jones a long-term extension when he only showed you one good year of competent quarterback play. And now he's out for the season, and your nightmarish season continues to unravel and get even worse. It's like Nightmare on Elm Street damn near.